Good Ride, avoiding reality part-time since 2006 and full-time since 2010. This is a Good Ride review of the elevated surfcraft Redtail.
Redtail Hawk.
Redtail Hawk.
We're good.
So this is the Redtail Hawk. We rode this with Adidas Tactical ADVs in Union Atlas today. We just got a day on it and we kind of alternated between the Goldfish and the Redtail Hawk and really wanted to figure out the difference between the two and how they just turned on a great spring day with some really good snow. And to give you a quick thing, this is camber, this is flat. There's a lot of intricacies and what did he say? Convexity?
Concave or convex base.
Convexity of the base. And this is kind of leans more on the deep powder floater side, but still is just shines on carving groomers, especially for a flat to rocker. It really lit it up. And yeah, it's just one of those, it's an all conditions ride. It's not a board you can just, you don't have to leave this on the wall when the powder day is gone, and you can go out and have a great time on groomers and really get things going with this. And you know, very tapered, very directional, very off the back foot kind of turner. And I think it could work with a wide variety of directional riding styles for people who ride in all conditions. And to give you a flex here,
Easy, James. Easy.
Oh, just carefully placing this
Medium to stiff.
this small batch $820 board. Yeah, felt like flexes were on par. Like here, let's double check the flexes here. Yeah, this feels like it has a little more give in the nose, but like underfoot where you're riding, they both. Oh, yeah, this might be maybe. I don't know. You tell me. They're pretty close. They're all on that medium stiff, you know, stiff kind of side. But like this one, I could.
It's not like super stiff, but it's up there.
Yeah, I could butter off the tail with both of these and have fun.
I think this may be marginally stiffer, but that could be the length. There's a lot of
the extra size,
difference in tail shape. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
There's a lot of stuff going on that we're not going to pick up in just one day of riding. But you know, all I can say. First day, plug and play, having a blast by the second run on this. And the first run I was having fun.
Yeah.
Second run I was having a blast. You know, I felt more pop out of this, but overall, yeah. And with this camber profile, you can see it's flat to rocker. This is my second day on this board though. I got this in powder and pretty good late spring or early spring, late winter season, like day of powder. We got a couple feet, I think almost 2 feet, and it did a really good job of floating. But we'll get into this. Just very stable.
Super stable.
Feels a little less catchy than this board here, the Goldfish. But it's still not something you really want to go past really athletic intermediate. It's more an advanced expert board, wouldn't you say?
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, even though it's flat to rocker and it will let you skid out a turn, it's a very wide, very off the back foot kind of board that really appreciates a rider who's going to turn properly. So if you're still skidding a lot of turns, you probably want to let this thing go. And think about something else. But very stable, tracks easy, 1 foot, flat bases really well, but that's flat to rocker, you know, there's just a little bit of early rise and this big old nose and, you know, kind of narrow tail here. And I just felt like it tracked well, it felt good underfoot. You've got a really wide platform here, and for my size 9s, it was a bit on the big side, and definitely a slower turner than the Goldfish. And with turn initiation, like, you're bigger though. You're an 11.
It was fine for me. I thought everything about this board was great. But yeah, but as far as the width goes, yeah, it was fine.
Super wide.
It was wide, but
Aaron, what is this? A 34 nose?
34 nose.
34 nose. What's the waist?
29 and a half.
29 and a half centimeters, and then off the tail?
30.
And this can go big as like 13, 12, 13 boot, but like the sweet spot's more like 10, 11.
10, 11.
Okay, yeah. And I'm a little before the sweet spot. That's been my whole life, and it's a whole other story.
I'm a little over, which hasn't been my whole life.
Whoa, yeah, I've never found that sweet spot. But I would say, like, I still had a good time on this. I definitely appreciated this a little more than this carving groomers, but I got this in powder. Fuck, it floated well. It was, actually I rode this and then got on a board that was very good in powder, the Endeavor Archetype, but it just wasn't floating like that. You know, it had all that camber and it's narrower, and I really had to get more back foot weight, where this I was just standing centered, you know, like in pretty deep, thick, wet powder, and I thought that was great. And as far as carving goes, yeah, the way Aaron described it, he's like, this is like a quad fin, and it felt that way, like long, drawn out across the groomer, and then set it up, and then across the groomer again. That's how I felt like this board carved best.
Which is why I loved it, because I love long radius turns.
You love quads.
Yeah, and this board is great.
See, and I'm more of a tri-fin surfer, so I think I appreciate it, or like a dynamic up and down twin, so I think that's why I like the Goldfish a little better. But this has a really fun carving personality, and the way the side cut matches the camber profile, it definitely gives you more than you would think for flat to rocker.
I couldn't believe this board was flat. I mean, this board's changed everything I thought about flat boards. I didn't know it was flat when I was riding it. I assumed it was camber.
Yeah, usually you can
it felt like camber.
Usually you can get on a flat board and you're like, this is flat.
Not my thing.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like flat to me. It felt like camber. It felt like camber at speed. It was super stable. And again, that has to do with the way the side cut is matched with the rocker and the width of the board. But yeah,
and I think I've only felt that a couple times on some Rome boards that are flat,
right?
Like not even flat to rocker. I think they're almost all flat. I was like, how did he get this flat board to have the personality of a camber board when it came to turning? Usually a flat board feels like, really, you were like so many flat boards I rode in the late O's, or no, like the 12s, you know, like early teens,
right?
You know, early 2000 teens, and there were a lot of flat boards out there, and they just felt so dead on a turn. And flat to rocker felt better, but it felt lifeless. This had some power. It railed a turn. It did a really good job. The turning experience was much better than I thought. Yeah, I still want to be on the Goldfish when it comes to turning, but this did a great job. And you know, speed, this thing can fucking bomb.
Yeah,
this is a bomber.
And again, it's flat, which is like not something I normally would gravitate towards, you know, opposed to a camber board, but this board did the job.
Now, this has, now when we're talking about uneven terrain, this was great on the powder day and on this, like some messy spots in the groomers, really kind of going over bumps, and there's just a nice balance between pop and dampening that I feel like it kind of almost has a little bit of that, like, that yes personality we love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But stiffer and a little more, like, a little more stiff, but it has that, like, it has that GP87 personality that's just this nice balance between damp and poppy. So it absorbed chatter and shit underfoot really well, but this would be one of the last boards I'd want to ride if I'm going through bumps. Like if I made a wrong turn down a mogul run, or the resort's getting messy and you're just riding anyways, and you're starting to get the emergence of moguls everywhere, you know what I mean? Like it's all rutted out, and just that is not ideal for me, especially with my boot size. Be a little better for you, but still not the one you want.
It's not the one I want, but typically
I'd
when
rather be on
conditions
this
are
guy.
like that, I'm just
Yeah.
going to the parking lot anyways. But
Yeah, but,
So,
but a lot of
sometimes you
people
can't
don't
do
have
that.
that luxury.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of
Sometimes you
people
can't
are
do
here
that.
to hammer it all day Saturday and Sunday.
So that's where camber's gonna
Yeah.
win.
When you're working for the
Yeah.
weekend, this width, I think, and the camber, and you know what I
Yeah.
mean. But I just feel like this might not be the best when it comes to uneven terrain for turning around bumps. But powering over some uneven snow, this did not buck around for its size. Whatever a 5'1" is.
It's about a 56.
Okay,
A little over, I
that's
think.
about right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's that sweet spot without being too bucky. You know what I mean?
Felt a lot
And-
bigger, and it's
Yeah.
for me, I thought. But,
as Peter would say, Bucky Lassick. But as far as switch goes, didn't even try it. I think I flipped it around once for like
it was okay.
15 feet.
Yeah, it's not something you want
Yeah.
to ride switch, but you
Waiting.
have to flip it around.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Just traversing off to the side of the run when I'm stopping to wait for somebody because I'm polite. I don't stand in the middle of the run.
Or the
None
middle of the
you
half
should
pipe.
stand or sit
Yeah, I did.
anywhere where people are riding. That's a whole other story. Powder, man, this thing floated and just, I ran into Aaron, he handed me this board, he said, just take this out right now. I had some other powder boards, but I added it in the sampler, took a couple runs, and wow, this thing just jams and floats. I didn't feel like I had to stand back in powder. I just felt like I was standing centered, and it was floating through that thick, not sick. It was a little sickly, but that, you know, that thicker, kind of late winter, a little bit warmer, thicker powder. And this really does well, and you can see just there's so much nose, there's so much waist, there's a good bit of taper in the tail. You're pretty far back on board if you want to set it all the way back like I did that day. And it's just got this plane to it where you just feel like you're kind of on top of the snow and you're not really dealing with anything you might have to deal with. Like I would imagine the Goldfish might be a little more tail sinky, you know.
Yeah.
You gotta maybe a little more weight on the back foot with this because it's full camber going to this. But this flat and, you know, maybe some of this convex base might help. But whatever was going on tech-wise, I don't know.
It works.
It floated well. And overall, I mean, hell, we just went through the pipe with this. It was
Yeah.
a bit much for me and my size 9s, but I was really having a good time just carving walls on this. And overall, I mean, Grant, why don't you take this home and talk about what you like?
Yeah,
'Cause you like to geek on,
I
you know,
like this
the
board.
construction.
I
and,
like the construction of the board. It seems very durable. It's a well-built board. I love the textured top sheet. I've never had a carving experience like this on a board that was flat camber.
Flat
I got
to a little early race, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think today I had some of the best turns, the best cars I had all year on this board. Absolutely loved it. It was stable at speed. Like, I have a lot of positive things to say about this. Didn't really, I could see the convex base on the nose. You can't really see it down here, but you can see like kind of reminds me of the spoon nose that Jones has. But yeah, I love this board. That was amazing. And you love that board.
I love that. This is where how we can finish the review. It's just like
cool. Oh, I gotta piss so bad. Nicotine again?
Yeah.
Thanks.
There you go. Jesus Christ, Grant.
So good.
Just every day, just another habit with you.
Are we good?
Yeah, except for just smoke weed, dude.
I smoke weed.
Well,
And then I
just
smoke cigarettes.
they're
I
great
gotta
together.
come down. I
Yes.
gotta get on, I gotta come down. I gotta get this perfectly tuned.
it's
like
That's
a-
good.
You're
Yeah.
letting them fight all day.
It's like the
You're letting
coffee.
them fight all day.
It's like that coffee beer battle I have. It's a
God
four-man
damn it.
speedball.